All right. Well, so I've got Darek Huckbody here he wears a few different hats. He is not only he's on the team at Business Growers, full disclosure, he's part of the coaching team. But how that came to be is he built a great business in the Battle House, tactical laser tag, award-winning local Wilmington business that is spread out to multiple locations. Has two locations here that he's he operates here in North Carolina, and opening a third one. Is that spoiler
Lease
alert?
is signed. It'll hopefully be open next summer.
Yep, good. And then it's got some other locations, franchising, world dominations on the future, so on the horizon. So they're doing a lot of cool things. But one of the things that's allowed him to build is, Darek and his team have gotten really, really good at attracting, sorting, screening, hiring, and developing talent. And that has really changed Darek's life a lot as an owner. And so he's done some real good things, not only to implement that, but also to systemize it so he doesn't have to be involved a lot. So Darek, should start off by sharing what was life like before when you were kind of using standard garden variety techniques that most business owners use. What were the techniques you generally used, and what were some of the outcomes that you had from kind of doing it the normal way?
Sure. I mean, most business owners are collecting resumes, right? Like it's a paper shuffle.
Mhm.
And what we've seen and everybody sees is, for the most part, everybody looks awesome on paper as long as they check the grammar, don't do text to talk and have just terrible stuff. Even we've seen that, if we do look at those, have gone downhill. But we switched with Reggie's help. Everything was switched to make it easier for us, the business owner and the management team, to just kind of reduce our workload and really screen out the knuckleheads, right? Screen out the knuckleheads and keep crazy out of the building. So if we go run a marketing campaign and we track all our numbers, it's anywhere from, it really gets down to, we're hiring that 5%, really trying to only see 15 to 20% of everybody who applies. If they apply on Indeed, they're really not applying. They're just making you do work. So the system we've built is all to funnel them into leaving the voicemail recording, asking the questions there, treating that like an application. We've teetered back and forth, the action system of, let's have a group info session and try to get 10 to 20 people to show up to that. In the current hiring environment, it just wasn't quick enough. We were losing good candidates because we'd line this up for a week and a half from now and they'd go get a different job before the event came. So we've pivoted a little bit. I hate the pivoted word, but we switched our whole plan to just go, hey, we're going to just quickly, if they left a good recording, text them, line up a phone screening, have the managers do it. Like, I'm not involved in any of the entry-level hiring positions at all. I really don't even meet I call them kids because most of them are kids. I don't even meet these young people until normally they've been working for us for 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, new guy. So it's management team has taken it and run with it, but it's been a merging of both action coach and who processes into our system.
All right, a lot there to unpack. Let's break that down. Let's go back a little bit. All right, so you first said marketing, and that's not an approach that most business owners take. So tell me what marketing for the position means, because the big challenge I have is I can't get people to apply, or everything I get to apply there's mostly garbage. Like, it's hard to get a good candidate or enough candidates to get some good ones. So you said the word marketing, which is different than most approaches. Talk a little bit about that, what you're doing to market for people.
Going back to Reggie's plan and action coach, and just how do we take it and make it Battle House's plan is, if we're going to spend whatever dollar amount on marketing for customers all year, well, if we reallocate some of that towards hiring, and we treat it 100% like a marketing campaign, like any marketing campaign you would do. So we're not just going to put it on Indeed and cross our fingers and hope some people turn up. It's, we got 10 or 15 different spots that we're putting it out there, between the email list, the text list, the Google ads. We get flagged all the time for fair hiring practices. So we've tried to work around it. We don't. Facebook, Instagram, Indeed, the honey hole of a couple of our key people. For example, we've got tons of summer camps that come out. love those camps because they bring all the kids. Love hooking up that camp guy because we've actually hired one of his sons in the past, and we might hire his other son, just graduated and is kind of taking a gap year figuring out. So we've hired his kids, and we've hired the other, the camp counselors. When summer camp ends and they go back to school in the fall, we'll hire on the camp counselors because they like working with kids and young people, and it's like their crowd, so we can kind of just, like, they help cherry pick the good ones. We also offer those referrals, whether it's a staff member refers somebody or one of our, one of our VIP people. We've got a pretty good cash bonus that we love to hand out. So it's 10 or 15 different things we're doing to get that pool of candidates. By and large, the best return is normally our staff members bringing in their friends or family or people in their network, or our customers referring somebody. It's normally the email list or the team that helps bring them in. Everywhere else just kind of puts extra people in there that we filter through. But, Indeed's the second follow-up for volume.
Yeah. You mentioned, so talk about your evolution through, you've really learned some lessons and stepped up, referral bonuses to team members. Talk about where you started. And then what you hit on something that made a difference. So talk about that.
Yeah, we started a while back, a couple years back. It was maybe it was $200, and it was you got half if we hired them and half if they were around 2 months from then. And inflation's happened, and we've just kind of kept upping that bonus. At one company meeting, I said, how much money do I have to pay y'all to get you to refer your friends or people you might want to have come work here? And so we were writing it on the whiteboard, and all the staff was too scared to say too big of a number. And I think we got up to $400. And I said, cool, well, I'm going to pay you $750, right? And it's broken down to if we hire them, because we've interviewed them. So if we hire them, you get paid. If they pass their test, which is a 14-day test, it's kind of like initial training, we pay you this another chunk. And then if you're both here in 3 months, we'll pay you the remainder balance, right? It's since gone up to $1,200 just because of continued challenges in the marketplace. And that's $1,200 for a part-time high school or college person, young person. This isn't even a full-time bonus. Some of Reggie's other clients, they're paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for their internal team. And it's really because if we go hire a third-party hiring agency, we're going to scratch them a check for $4,000 or $5,000. And I'd much rather pay it to my team or to one of our VIP clients for hooking us up with somebody they know who's looking for, that would be a good fit for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So you up the offer, and most offers hiring bonuses don't work. What are you giving out? A couple $100. Well, that's just not enough to move the needle, but you found that number that $750, $1,200, I think you found that gets their attention.
Yeah.
And turns them into recruiters.
Yeah. It's a cool thing at the company meeting to hand whoever did who's getting the money, and we've got a bunch of 20s in an envelope, and we hand it to them, and it's ooh, I want some of that hiring money. You got to work harder, right? We've even given it to, we had one person refer somebody, and they were moving away, going to college. Am I going to get the rest of the money? We sent them, the person they had referred was still with us at 3 months. They weren't because they moved off to college. We paid them out the money, we put it into the payroll and sent it to them when they hit that 3-month mark, just because it was hey, you left on good terms, and we want you to come back at Christmas time when you're in town and come back to work. So
that's right.
So it's really hooking up the team internally and getting them to help you out.
Yeah. The resistance I often get is, oh my gosh, $1,200. That's a lot of money. You start throwing out $4,000 and $5,000 numbers, and it's different for every business, but just keep in mind that how much is it costing you not to have? And I know so many businesses that are it's costing them hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of, not to be properly, to have not only enough team members, but having the right kind of people. And, so that's key. Studies have always shown the best employees come from personal and professional networks of the owner as well as of the team, right? Great team members know other great team members. So that's huge. You talked about screening a minute ago. So one of the big frustrations is separating the serious from the curious, and those job boards and engines can produce a lot of fluff and a lot of unqualified candidates. So talk a little bit about what you do to be able to separate and just a resume and a button push to apply to actually making sure you spend time with people that are really interested in the job.
Yeah. So when they hit that apply on Indeed, we really don't even look at anything there. We just respond back to all of them with a canned response of, hey, you're moving to the next step. The next step is call this phone number. It's going to be your application. And we're really trying to motivate them to get to calling that phone number, right? What we've done is we send them to a web page, and it kind of just has a couple of quick bullet points. Here's some details. Here's a video, which is our the information we used to put out at the group information session. We call it the good, the bad, the ugly video. Mm-hmm. Watch that video first, because you might hear us say you're not allowed to have your cell phone on you, or you have to show up on time, and that's not going to fly for you, and you need to go work someplace else. So it's kind of a self-screening. Here's a bunch of information about us. If you get to the end and want to apply, then call the number. So we go from 40 people apply on Indeed, and this just happened last week, only 5 of them are actually going to take the step to call the phone number and leave a voicemail application. So we just freed up 35 interactions of people that are lazy or watched the video and said, these guys are crazy, I don't want to work for them. That's cool. Go work at Harris Teeter, go work anywhere else, right? And then out of those 5, 3 of them were good that we're trying to move forward to an in-person interview. So all the time of chasing managers' time and owners' time of tracking down 40 people, we've reduced to 5 to 3 people, of which hopefully we'll hire 1 or 2, and if they show up to the first in-person video before they show up, we grab a quick phone call with them just to talk through, hey, here's what we're going to do. We send them some of our training videos, 2 or 3 of our training videos. We make them do work during the interview, so it's kind of a on-the-spot test. And if we tell them, on the phone call that if you don't do good, it's going to be a real short interview, 10, 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. If it goes well, we might spend an hour talking to you, right? And we'll get to the end and work on it from there. So it's really just how do we free up the manager's time to just not get bogged down with people and still make them do quite a bit of work, the hire slow, fire fast thing. We could hire that person within a 5-day period, but we've made them do a bunch of work in a short period of time to decide, hey, we think they've got the right attitude to come work with us. So
what you've done is given a step to make sure you take somebody from just hitting a button to apply to, hey, if you really are serious about this job, you got to do a little work. You have to call, you're going to leave a message, you're going to have to watch the video. The video's before, right? So you haven't watched the video before.
We haven't watched the video, then calls. Yep. So they can self-deselect, and we don't waste their time or our time moving them to.
So you're spending time with the more valuable candidates. How long is that video, by the way?
It's it's like 15 minutes or something like that.
Okay. So they have to invest and do a little something. Like back in the old days when you used to have to type up a resume, which is how resumes come. Used to back in the day, resume used to be work, and now it's just hitting buttons. So you've kind of turned the tables and said, look, if this is for you and if you're really excited about this, then, invest some time, make a call, and then go from there. You also said, so that's some real powerful stuff. You've also buried in there, you systemize this process so that your management team can do it, and you as the owner aren't, trapped into actually having to do that. Most business owners feel like they have to be part of the hiring to make it.
Yeah, and that wasn't an overnight thing. I mean, that was probably months of work, with Reggie years back, but also internally as a management team, we've read 2 or 3 books and watched a bunch of videos about hiring and we've probably invested 4 to 8 hours as a whole team talking about how we want the process, what attributes we're looking for, coming up with our questions. I asked a career interviewer the other day, and I asked him something. He goes, it was an older gentleman. He goes, I've never been asked that before in an interview. Just the full resume, right? I'm like, all right, cool. Well, just going to sit here and stare at you until you answer. So there's that. So, but I was very involved in building the system and making sure the team is trained to run the hiring system, and it's a evolving document. If we find out something's not working next week, we'll switch it. But um, from a time investment, they can do it.
Yeah.
If you trust your management team and you've got a good system and you're doing the marketing you need to do. I mean, it's just get yourself out of the way and let them do it. Otherwise, the bottleneck became between my schedule of kids and businesses and doing coaching. Well, Derek's not going to be in town till Wednesday, 2 weeks from now. And if we have to wait till every time when it lines up on my calendar, I just slowed down the hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
And my team that's there every day of the week can knock it out without me.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one last thing, you talked about moving quick. And that's a key, especially in today's environment, because there's this whole, saying out there that, you hire slow, fire fast. Right. And that is that doesn't work in today's environment, doesn't apply to your, the current situation, because there's a whole lot more jobs than our employees out there in the marketplace. So, and the good ones are going to get gobbled up. So talk about a little bit of what you've learned about striking quick.
Yeah. So the hiring slow, the way we were looking at it is just like, all right, we're trying to make them jump through hoops, but we want to make sure they're a hard worker, have the right work ethic that we're looking to, showing up on time. If you show up 5 minutes late, you're out. So it's every little step of that process, from the leaving the phone interview to the first interaction of we give you homework to do before you show up to the in-person interview. If we do a second in-person interview, it's probably within a day. So we try to really condense the timeline down. Now, if they've got another job or something and it's, hey, they've got to get notice and we're kind of doing more of the dating thing of feeling you out and let's bring you on part-time before you stop working for that other employer. We might not go as quick, but if they're out there actively looking, hey, how many other jobs have you applied to this week? Oh, I applied over here, over here, over here. Oh, cool. How's that going? And we just talk to them about it and, whatever. But we try to make all that work happen quickly, where we're satisfied that we've hired slow because we've checked all the blocks we need to check. We also, spoiler alert, how do you get your team involved? It's kind of easy for us. We give them free laser tag. Bring a friend. Come this weekend, 2 days from now. Once they do, the managers talk to them. Hey guys, blah, 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 and get them checked in. And the shift leader, whoever's in back, who's not the manager, is keeping an eye on them. And it's all part of the interview. If you act like a jackass in the back and you leave and you're being a jerk or breaking the rules, or just, the rule, when they're telling you the game to play, if they tell you a rule and you go break it, well, if we tell you work rules, you're probably not going to listen to that. Or if you're just being mean, that shift lead, that 18, 19-year-old, college kid, he's going to come up front and be like, don't hire that guy. And we have not moved forward because of the way you play with, with our customers in the back. So it's they're probably going, I wonder what happened. You're just not a good fit. You're not going to be a good culture fit, right? So, but if you don't show up to play the free game, we give you 2 free tickets. It's 80 some bucks of value. We don't move you forward to the next step, right? Like that's part of the process. So it's
Awesome.
it's not really sneaky. It's just that's what we've developed because it helps us screen them out, right?
Yeah, one of the things that's an action coach and Brad Sugar's principles that we learned is games are a reflection of your behavior. How you play a game is often how you behave. So that's great that you've implemented that. Any other final advice hiring to business owners that have the constraint in their business when it comes to acquiring, attracting, and screening candidates?
I guess just being involved in different networks and groups. I think most people don't put enough time into getting smart on hiring. Haven't read any books, haven't listened to any podcasts, just haven't done the work as a team to really have a hiring process that's good. And then circling back to that marketing piece, we dump a bunch of marketing spend. Our point of sale lets us track it through, so we can see, hey, that ad spend on hiring actually led to sales. It's leading to sales, not just hiring. So it's just being consistent about it, because if you're just putting it on Indeed, you're probably not gonna get the candidates you want. And then, man, come up with that staff incentive. If you're talking about 80 to $150,000 a year staff members, well, shoot, your internal staff VIP hiring referral bonus might need to be in the $5,000 to $10,000 range, right? If you've got to go hire a headhunter, you're going to spend more than that.
Yeah.
I just
For a
talked to
higher level. Yeah.
Yeah, I just talked to a business owner the other week, because it's based on a percentage of annual salary. 30 grand for the headhunter. And I was like, holy cow, you have just topped the highest amount I've heard to get the right person.
30 grand to hire a headhunter to bring
grand.
somebody in. Yeah.
To bring somebody in.
Wow.
Now, if your team member, now that was a super specific, highly technical, senior level guy that there's probably not any in the local market. He moved 2 states over, but 30 grand. But what's the scaled down version of that gets your team really excited about talking to everybody in their sphere?
3 to 5 grand will probably do it.
3 to 5 grand, not 30 grand.
Yeah, that's right.
Not 30 grand. So
that's awesome. So, kind of, I guess, wrapping all this up, I would say that the thing that you have done that really has set you head and shoulders, just hiring people is not generally something they don't hand you that book in business owner school. It's for most people, it is not a natural talent that exists. A handful of people have it, you didn't come with it, but what you did come with was, you came with the desire to learn and the commitment to learn, and you learned. You didn't become really good at hiring and attracting and screening by just, doing it organically. You learned how to do it. You took the time to study it, went to conferences, got your team involved, had your teams read books, had them study, had them part of the process, because, people, one of the 4 biggies in your business, right? People, it's huge. Got to have people, got to have cash flow, got to have execution, got to have strategy. But people is such a huge part of your business to dedicate the time to, how do we make sure we get this part right? We nail this part. And not only has that provided, you have a great team that gives customers great experience, that feeds a great business, but it also gives you freedom from a business, freedom from your business and kind of owning it instead of it owning you. And that's the big turn as you've, just been able to get to the higher end of the food chain of employees and team building. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Keep your good ones, right? Like move them up quick. Pay them. They want more hours. They want flexible schedule. Like really diving in so you can just keep growing internally. The management team, has been huge. And with us, we're always going to be hiring because we hire a high school kid. He graduates. He leaves to go to school. College kid is at UNCW, Cape Fear, leaves to go to school. So we're kind of in our market of who we're hiring is just constantly doing it. But we're not the highest paying. They can go work anywhere else and probably get more per hour. Pointing back to it, hey, how do we help attract and do all that? Culture is another big piece that I'd say, hey, that it's a fun thing. The good, the bad, the ugly video is to tell them, hey, it's still work. We're going to clean toilets. We're going to, be on our feet all day dealing with, customers who might complain. So there's still work to it, but we'll have fun while we're doing it. And, if they're not a good fit, we'll move them out quick too.
Cool. Well, congrats for all your hard work, effort, how it's really paid off. And thanks for sharing, what are best practices. I'm certain it'll help other business owners along the way. If you got any questions on some of the little details or strategies, you can reach out to me, reach out to Darek. Being part of our, local business owner community we have is, you get a chance to be in a room with Darek once a month and kind of pick his brain on some of the distinctions. So, if you want to come be part of our programs and get a chance to interact with, and Darek, Darek's one of many that have deployed some of these hiring techniques that really allow them to take employee market share away from a lot of the folks that, just haven't invested the time, effort, energy to learn how to be good at the hiring piece of the business. So, okay, thanks for willing to share, man. Not everybody would do that.
Yeah.